He's big, he's red, and he's everything we've already seen before. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the RobeTheMatoran channel, and today I got another Bionicle retro review for you all today, and that is set number 8953 Makuta Icarax, a piece count of 159 pieces, and once retailed for $20 back in the day. Now, if you want to pick this bad boy up brand new, oh boy, it's a real kicker. You're gonna have to pay up to $400 brand new. That is insane because he's a limited edition set, at least a part of that limited edition line. I think that's a US only thing, if I'm not mistaken, so I'm not 100% sure on that. But regardless, $400 brand new sealed. If you want them used, you probably can find them for like 114, 130. Like he's a lot more affordable just used. It's just, if you want him brand new, then you're gonna pay a lot, which once again, I know I said this in the last video, but I don't think he's worth brand new. I don't think it's worth brand new. You can get it used, and I think you'd be just fine. Maybe a few parts might be a little cracked, but just look out for it. Just read the descriptions on the set if you really think about picking them up. Icarax was assigned to the region of Karzani. He was known as one of the strongest warriors in the Brotherhood of Makuta, despite not being the strongest physically. He had a few appearances in the comics, but mainly had more importance in the novels and the books. However, he would meet his ultimate end during the destruction of the Coldrex while other Makuta attacked him. He tried to teleport away, but his atoms were scattered across the universe, so he is completely gone. Now, with that out of the way, we can finally get into the set. Unfortunately, I do not have the box. I only have just the instructions, and they're just your typical instructions, nothing fancy, just your advertisement, and just, of course, how to build the set. So let's go ahead and get into the actual review. And here at last, Makuta Icarax, and I have to say that he has a really well thought out design. I really do like it, and of course he has a really good and consistent color scheme with the red and black and silver, and that gets a plus for me because red and black is my favorite color. Yes, he does have silver, which that's not too much of a problem, but this is 2008 after all, so we will be seeing a lot of silver throughout pretty much every set. So you already know that, so let's go ahead and dive into the specifics of Makuta here, or Icarax. So, to say the least, he doesn't have anything new. So to get that kind of out of the way, he has nothing new, no new molds or recolors, I don't think. So he's actually pretty much like all these pieces and all these molds and pieces and colors we've already seen in these colors and pieces. Like there's nothing new on that. So he doesn't offer much on that, but he does just have a lot of detail just in his, particularly in the legs and the feet. Like his feet are really weird looking. Like it's like it has these Visorak feet and Borak like tooth parts sticking out. It's a lot of stuff going on right there. It's a bit unstable because it's a little bit hard to stand him up properly sometimes, but it's nothing that is actually going to make it hard. It's just sometimes it can be a little difficult, but it's not impossible. It's a bit weird, but I still definitely like it more than I don't like it. It doesn't have too many, I guess, like functions. Like, yes, he has your standard articulation, of course, because, I mean, at this point, you know, articulation is kind of bound to be, you know, in the set or for the figure. So it's like, yeah, he has your action figure-esque articulation. He does not technically have a Inika or Paraka build, but he has one of adjacent because he has like a Inika build adjacent or Paraka build just adjacent. Just depends how you want to look at it, because he has the Makuta Fantoka torso with the Tridax pod like in tow. So he has everything that the Makuta Fantoka had. So that's of course his main function really. Like he does have a second function. I'll get to that in just a second, but yes, he does have the Tridax pod. You know, you drop it, it busts open, you get the little shadow leeches. Yeah, yada yada. You get it. You know what it does. You've seen it before. So there's nothing new with that, of course, because we've seen it about 3 or 4 times already now. He does have some wing articulation. I forgot to mention he does have that. So that's going good for him. He has some nice wing articulation. Head articulation, of course, that's standard. He does sport green eyes instead of like the orange eyes. Like he has the short green eye stalk piece instead of just the orange one that's kind of a bit longer. I guess it makes more sense, but they could have just made the eyes like half like that with the orange one, but I guess they didn't want to make a new mold. Or really a new color, because not a new mold, it's just a different color, but I guess they really didn't want to do that. So he does have that, which that's a bit odd, I won't lie. It's definitely weird. Definitely not, it doesn't kind of make sense because I'm like, I thought he was a bad guy, which he most certainly is, but they gave him green eyes, which I am always like, that doesn't make sense. He does sport the Makuta, not Makuta, well, the Makuta head, but I should say the Krakan, the actual proper term for the mask, the Krakan, the Great Krakan, because it's pretty much identical to Makuta Pterodax way back in 2003. I don't think there's any differences. There might be, but I personally don't know it because I never really compared them side by side, but to me they look identically the same. Even with the flipped mask where it has like the Dakota Nuva-esque mask, which I don't know why he has that. I don't know why Makuta. I get why Makuta may have it because, well, that was the whole point. Like, Takanuva and Makuta will combine at one point, which I get. Even though I always did prefer Makuta Pterodax to have the movie edition mask and then the one he normally wears as like the special one, but that's neither here or there. We're talking about Icarax, and he does have the exact same mask, so it's kind of like, for the longest time, I thought he was the same character. I thought this was Makuta Pterodax. I was like, okay, so he just upgraded and got wings, and he looks a lot cooler. So I'm like, okay, I like this guy. I like this Makuta Pterodax more than the 2003 design. But obviously, it's a different character. But it's hard to tell when they have the exact same mask and they're both named Makuta. So it's kind of hard for me to really know that as a kid. Like back as a kid in like 2008, I did not know that because I did not really keep up with the lore. So I'm just like, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. So is Makuta, and he has a new form. Okay, cool. Because I kind of thought it was. But anyway, okay, now to talk about his actual other feature, which is his spinning blade thing on his right arm. He brings back a Hordika arm, actually. So a Toro Hordika arm. That's kind of how it works. It's a bit thin on the detailing because it's like there's not much there. It's just the arm with the Anika armor and then the Hordika arm, and then the spinning blade thing. It kind of reminds me of like Rudaka and or Kitangu, mostly Kitangu. So it's kind of that. It's kind of like a watered down version of Kitangu's like spinning, rotating like shield thing. So it's pretty standard. It's a cool feature, but not much else. Like it's not gonna wow your socks off and be like, oh my gosh, look at that coolness. It's such a cool, unique thing. Like it can spin really fast. So yeah, and it has this kind of awkward axle thing sticking out. So I try to hide it because I don't want it to like stick out, because in the promotional art and the box art cover you don't see it, but obviously in the actual set you will see it sticking out. And I know it's supposed to be kind of like, hey, you do see this for it, and yeah, it's a function for young kids to figure it out. But I still kind of wish they made it just a little bit shorter, for then you can kind of hide it better, because it is kind of an awkward thing to stick out. And speaking of weapons, his left hand, it has these two really long blades, and he has elax claw pieces for like the fingers, I guess. It's a bit like clumsy looking, to say the least, like a lack of a better terms. It's just looks really busy. It's a very busy and messy kind of look, and I get they was just trying to give him some weapons and stuff just to kind of have him stick out and just look really imposing and intimidating, but I just don't think it really works. Honestly, they could have just gave him the Brutaka thing where he has the two blades, but he has like the Paraka claw foot as the hand, because honestly that could have worked a lot better. Honestly, kind of wish they did that, but I guess they didn't want to repeat a design point. But I mean, they did it with the Anika and Paraka build, so why can't they just do that for one thing? That actually would have made sense, and it would look a little bit cooler, because then like these claws instead of just these weird things sticking out. I don't know. It's just, it doesn't really do it for me. That's the one thing I would have to say on the design I don't really like, but everything else is fine. Everything else is fine. I do appreciate everything else. Now, he does have a slight restriction in his hips a little bit with the extra like um joint socket piece that's like on his hips or whatever. I know it's supposed to be for stability, but you can't really move his legs super wide high up. I guess you don't really need to put it in that position in certain positions, but it kind of restricts him just a bit. That's just me, but maybe someone else don't really mind it too much. But I'm like, they could have maybe not have done that because it does restrict him a bit. But I guess I'm not gonna actually like sit here and like sit down and play with him because I don't really do that. But it still does hinder some movements and it does kind of make it hard for me to pose him in all the crazy unique ways that I could with other figures. So that's why it kind of takes it back a little bit with that. But I don't hate it because it does adds a bit of, I like details. So when they have more stuff going on, I do like it. It's just if it makes sense. And I guess it does in a sense. It's just, I don't think it was the absolute most necessary thing. So it's kind of like a half and half of like, I like it and then I don't, but it's still all right. And that's really about it. Like, I really was trying to extend this a bit longer for a review to kind of really talk about him and deep dive discussion, but there's not much here because he doesn't have any unique molds. He doesn't have any unique recolors. He doesn't have that much of a standout unique design because it's still just a Anika / Paraka build, and he just has some extra weapons and wings sticking out from his legs and his arms and his feet, and it's like that's really about it. He's still a great design. Like, I really like the figure. Like, he is definitely like, when I used to see him like in the Lego catalogs back in the day, I thought, oh my god, I should have to get this guy because he looked really cool. And I never had like the previous Makuta back in 2003, so that's why I was like, man, he looks really cool. This would be a cool set to get. Never got him, so unfortunately that dream never happened up until like a few months ago, really like a month ago, because I got him like not too long ago. But regardless, he's a good set. I do recommend getting him because, you know, he does look really cool. Like, if you don't have any other Makutas, or if you're not trying to get too many sets from 2008, I think this is a really solid one to pick up because he's really cool. He has a great design and I think it looks really cool. It's not just because he's red and black, it's just because I think that he just looks really unique in a sense. Like, compared to other sets, he kind of has some uniqueness, just not many. Just if you don't look at him like all together, he feels kind of unique. So just go with me there. I think he's a good set to pick up. That's what I'm trying to say. So anyway, the score I give him a, I want to say an 8.3. Like, he's actually really good. I'm actually like in favor of this set. That's why I'm recommending actually picking him up instead of just saying, oh, you can kind of get something else, get something better. I think you should get him at the very least. I think it's worth the look at, or at least consider it, because you may not need to get him, but I would say yeah, especially if you're trying to have like a huge Bionicle collection, or if you're just trying to look for some cool sets to pick up, just a couple. I'd say you should have him on your list. But okay, 8.3, that is your score. Please let me know what you think down in the comments below, and because I'll read every single comment. And join me next time when I look at, I don't know who's next. I keep forgetting. It's like the third video I've done. I keep forgetting who is the next person that the next review I have to do. So I think it is Voltraz or Takanuva. I am not sure on that, but regardless, just join me next time for the next Bionicle review. I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe, share it amongst friends if you feel so generous, and I will bid you all adieu.
In the time before time, on the mysterious island of Matanui, 6 canisters washed ashore on a golden beach, and new and powerful legends were born. Tahu, courageous tower of fire. Lua, agile tower of air. Gali, noble tower of water. Kopaka, powerful tower of ice. Onua, wise tower of earth. Teamed with Pohatu, mighty tower of stone. They battled the darkness of evil Makuta and the terrible menaces he unleashed that threatened the Toa and the world. Time would bring new transformations, amazing weapons, masks, and armor, and new and greater power than ever before. These Toa Nuva would need all their power, all their skill, and all their wisdom to combat more dangerous threats like the Borakal and the dreaded Rakshi, servants of the evil Makuta. They brought fear, destruction, and doom to Mata Nui. But new allies joined the fight and helped to defeat Makuta. Secrets of an ancient land called Metra Nui were revealed. A land that long ago had its own heroes, who fought for justice with all their powers and skills, braving any danger to keep their city safe. Challenged by the Vaki, robots programmed to pursue, capture, or destroy, these Toa fought on. Even when turned into nightmare versions of themselves, they never surrendered. Whoever the enemy, whatever the odds, they fought and they won. In other faraway lands, evil continued to grow. Monstrous creatures longing to be unleashed. But the mantle of Toa was worn by new warriors. On a quest to find the legendary Mask of Life, nothing would get in their way. Not on land or under the sea. No matter where the Mask of Life might be, no matter who dared to try and possess it with stealth, power, and evil schemes, the Toa would be there. Armed with new masks and weapons, ready to fight to save a universe. With enemies on every side, outnumbered and under attack, stranded in the depths of a strange ocean, and facing monsters beyond imagination, the Toa would find a way to win. No matter what the future may bring, some things will never change. Like the courage and daring of true heroes. In 2008, the Toa faced their greatest challenge, a battle in the skies at the core of the universe. The Toa Nuva will continue the fight. The final battle is about to begin.